Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to be analysing EU and DXY to see what opportunities may be available today. You're going to see my analysis and my strategy, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. Right, let's start off here on the daily as I always do. On the top is EU, on the bottom is DXY. Now what's the daily showing us? Well, quite clearly yesterday we had a massive bearish day, big bearish move, bearish engulfing, moved about 112, 115 pips in one day. Now this was CPI news release plus some later monetary rates, I believe. Anyway, massive bearish day after we swept the previous weekly high and rejected that weekly fair value gap as well. So obviously the inverse on DXY, we had a massive bullish day. We closed above our previous weekly high and we've made a new high. Whereas on EU, as we can see, we did not take that previous weekly low yet. We have not made a new low yet. So we have SMC divergence from this low to this low and from this low to this low at the moment. On DXY, we've moved more into this imbalance / order block as well. So there's still a bit to go if it does want to fill the entire thing before we have any meaningful bearish reaction. You never know, but that possibly is further into the future. So just looking more into today, what do we have? We have the previous daily high, previous daily low. We have now just taken the sell side liquidity from our previous daily low. The previous weekly low is resting just below that. So we'll see what the lower time frames look like, see if we're going to go for that sell side liquidity there. So in summary, bearish previous day, SMC divergence, which may show signs of a pullback on EU. We've taken sell side liquidity and buy side liquidity this morning from DXY and EU. So let's go down to the 4 hour, see what that looks like. So the 4 hour, no big surprises here, not too different from the daily, of course. Again, we have a low here, high low, we have a high here with high high. So the SMC divergence exists from here to here as well as that other low in past price action down there. We are definitely in a discount. Obviously prices moved to the low of this leg here. In my opinion, we may also take the previous weekly low because why not? We're right there. However, if it doesn't, that's just more SMC divergence. So I'm not really too fussed if we do or we don't. I just believe it'll be good to have as much sell side liquidity on our side as possible. We also have this 4 hour order block, which has held price here, right? Which is great. Now price has left behind massive imbalance on DXY and EU. So for me, after such a big massive news motivated move in one day, price usually we would expect after taking some opposing liquidity is going to pull back, right? So I think all the signs are there for a pullback either into this imbalance or to the bigger imbalance up here, more so towards a premium. So I think it makes sense to expect some bullish price action today. We do have the previous weekly low, like I said, just resting below. So we may go for that liquidity or not. Now the dangers are obviously the momentum seems to be on the bearish side. So of course, yes, the trend can continue. But after this big move we have a confluence of a 4 hour POI, we have SMC divergence, we now have previous daily low, sell side liquidity swept, so we'll see how price moves from there. Obviously on DXY, we've taken previous weekly high buy side liquidity, we've taken our previous daily high buy side liquidity, and of course we have these price draws in the premium and the discount. So I think everything looks good for a pullback at the moment. So let's go down to the 1 hour and see what that looks like. So on the 1 hour, as you can see, we are having a minor bullish reaction for the time being. The hour's only just started. But since taking the previous daily low sell side liquidity, we are having some sort of bullish reaction here and pulling back to the origin of that move this morning. Inversely on DXY, we're doing the same. Previous daily highs taken out. Now we have a small bearish reaction, at least at this moment. You can see we have our clear bullish leg here and our bearish leg here. We have our order block at the extreme premium of this leg, but we have obviously plenty of imbalance to fill here in the discount and the premium. Of course, this is going to be an important area here, right? We have our own imbalances here and order block. Now this order block is obviously in the discount, so it's not exactly somewhere that we may see a continuation from. because price may want to seek out a premium. However, it could be, or it could also be what we need to then go down and take the previous weekly low before having a more major pullback, because this would be an external low, which means it's more sell side liquidity, right? So not to confuse the picture there, we still have our sell side liquidity and our 4-hour POI and all of those things from the 4-hour time frame that we mentioned, all of those confluences. I am still preference to bullish pullback. We'd have to see what the lower time frame does and what the 1 hour does in order for us to say, okay, we're going to short it here, maybe to the previous weekly low. That would probably be the only area I would short it to if the lower time frame price action looks like it wants to go that way. But yeah, again, I think it just shows a clear bearish and bullish leg on DXY, and we have our liquidity draws in these imbalances, and we have liquidity swept and mitigated on the time frame. So yeah, I think it's going to be very dependent on the M15 and those lower time frames just to see which direction we want to go. But I'm favoring some longs from this discount if the sell side liquidity is on our side. So let's go down to the M15 and see what that is showing for any opportunities for today. So no massive surprises here with what the M15 looks like. You can see the M15 candle currently is bullish engulfing after we took that previous daily low. You know, we just had this massive long leg here and the sideways consolidation after the New York session and London session closes into Asia, right? So we created that range, price broke down, took the sell side liquidity from previous daily low. Now personally, I probably don't want to short this from around this area. I would want price to take some buy side liquidity from above Asia, which it typically does obviously when we take the bottom of Asia. But from this previous daily low sell side liquidity, we're going to have to see how this pans out. I don't want to just set an order here and then get swept for buy side liquidity above here or here. So what would I want to see? So let's discuss the possibility of shorts first, shall we? So preferably I would want price to come up, probably creating structure on the way and taking this buy side liquidity above here and here. So it may do that, something like this, take that liquidity. Now it's taking the buy side liquidity from above here, and then we get our breakdown. So now we've got a break of structure, and then we can expect our pullback into our lower time frame POI, and then we can trade down towards the previous weekly low. So if there were to be some sort of selling opportunities in this discount, this is how I would like it to look, because then we'd have our buy side liquidity swept from above this high. We would have our break of structure from the structure we created. We'd have some sort of possible corrective pullback here, which would leave inducement, and then our order block or fair value gap on the lower time frame to trade short from towards that week low, previous weekly low that we have here. So it would look something like this. Okay, so I hope that's clear. We would have the obvious negatives of we are in a discount. We have high time frame POIs above that price may wish to seek out. So you'd be gambling against that, which is fine. Previous weekly low does look like a good target, especially for more major pullback. So that's one option. So I'm going to remove that now. Another option for the longs, now let's get into the long scenarios, would be for price to come back down. It's going to sweep its current low, preferably even take that previous weekly low, and then we get a better break of structure. Now that break of structure could happen lower down here if we create structure internally, but just for the purposes of this example, I'll draw it out like this, and then we get our pullback to the POI from the origin of that to trade it higher. So we would have our sell side liquidity, of course, taken from the previous weekly low and previous lows here. We would then have a break of structure from this point, from this high here, and even these highs. We get our corrective pullback, which leaves an inducement to our order block or fair value gap. And then we can set our order from this point with our stop loss just below the low, and you can aim for, you know, the recent high, whatever percentage you want, or more towards the imbalance above, wherever suits you. So I would like something like this. The previous weekly low external liquidity on side would be a great driver for price if we can get in after it's swept. And we are in a discount, so we would probably have more confluences on side. The negative would be if we was to obviously take this buy side liquidity first, but the pullback would obviously be important for that. However, that previous weekly low and external sell side liquidity for me trumps these little internal highs. It's just you'll be against the momentum and the order flow. So any scenario for long, which would be my preference, would look like this. Even if we don't take this low and we keep this SMC divergence, something which breaks above these highs and pulls back to even this order block, possibly here, I would like to trade with. However, we would have the previous weekly low below, which could be an attraction for price, and price could come and sweep you. So you'd have to be ready to possibly enter if it goes again. Now, of course, there may be another scenario for the shorts. Of course, if we were to take some buy side liquidity here and just break down completely and close below, then yes, we could have some sort of pullback to an area to continue short if there's clearly no momentum shift from these previous weekly lows. But again, we'd be in a discount, wouldn't be as favorable as shorting from up here. So I hope you got value from that. Hope it was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.